on there in YouTube world? My name is General Kenobi, and like always, I got a good one for you today. With any TV series or movie franchise, there are going to be bloopers, because no one is perfect. Another problem that can crop up is continuity errors. This is when one thing is said in one episode or movie, and then something else is said or done differently in another episode or movie. With Star Trek, which began in the 60s and is still going on today, there are a lot of continuity errors. I'm going to explain the ones that can't be explained. Not all of them can be explained, which is understandable. Some of them are just, okay, yeah, that's a big mistake. But there are some that can be legitimately explained. Now, this is not a top 10 or anything like that. I'm just going to quickly explain why these errors are false, so to speak. So, with that out of the way, let's get started.
Accelerating deuterium to rear thrusters.
We have a complement of 38 photon torpedoes at our disposal, Captain.
And no way to replace them after they're gone. Aft thrusters at...
Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so.
The idea behind the whole series of Voyager is that they are 75,000 light years from the Federation and can't get help from them. This was in the 4th episode, I believe, and we find out that they have 38 torpedoes to work with. However, in the little over 7 years it took them to get home, they used more than 38 photon torpedoes. That's because, even though they could not get any Federation torpedoes, that did not stop them from getting torpedoes from other sources, like buying them from somebody or getting them in trade. It would be illogical not to, since even their phaser banks would not last that long. The phaser banks do run dry over use. So even if they had to be in the Delta Quadrant for 75 years, their phaser banks would not have lasted that long. So they'd be in trouble.
We're in pursuit of a starship of Ferengi design. It will be Starfleet's first look at a life form which, discounting rumor, we know almost nothing about.
McGordon, do what I'm saying. Sit down! I'm going to be contacting the Vulcan High Command as well as Starfleet. If you come within a light year of any one of our ships, you won't know what hit you.
You'll never see us again.
Alright, I'm not going to go over all of the Enterprise errors, because then I'm going to be here all day saying the same thing over and over again. This was early in the 1st season of The Next Generation, and the 2nd season of Enterprise, I believe. For The Next Generation, it was the first time we see the Ferengi, and that's kind of what Gene Roddenberry wanted. He wanted there to be new aliens for this show. If you notice, Romulans were not seen or mentioned till the end of the 1st season, and Vulcans were not brought up till the 2nd season, and we didn't even there was no mention of Spock or any of the major Vulcans from the previous series until I think it was like season 3. We saw Sarek, and then season 5 we saw Spock. More on that later. It was said in Next Generation that they knew nothing about the Ferengi except for rumors. However, 200 years earlier, in Enterprise, they are met for the first time, the Ferengi, and the Vulcan High Command and Starfleet Command were warned about them. So why did Jean-Luc not know anything? Well, this one is simple. Let me take a look at my notes here. Let's see. Oh, yes, here it is. Enterprise did not exist yet. There you go. That's all you need to know. The Enterprise series didn't exist yet. Nothing more you need to know. Let's continue.
Possible that we two, you and I, have grown so old and so inflexible that we have outlived our usefulness. I'm afraid I don't know too much about Romulan disruptor settings.
This is one that you would either need to read about or be a Trekkie since the 60s with the original series to figure this one out. This takes place during the last movie of the original series, which was Undiscovered Country, and the 5th season episode of Next Generation, the two-parter Unification. Now, the Next Gen series started shortly after the 4th Trek movie came out, which was The Voyage Home. Marina Sirtis had said her first Trek experience before becoming Counselor Troi was watching Star Trek Voyage Home. With that said, Unification came out a month before Star Trek Undiscovered Country, and because of that, they filmed the second part of the two-part episode first. So Leonard Nimoy is the same age in Next Generation and Star Trek 6. However, we do know that Vulcans age differently than humans. In the first episode of Next Generation, Data says that Dr. McCoy is 137 years old. Now, for a human, that's almost impossible. In fact, I don't think they ever fully explained how Bones was that old. They do have some theories and whatnot, but there's no concrete theory or evidence as to why Bones is that old. Now, for a Vulcan, that would be considered middle age. We don't know how old Spock is, because Vulcans keep that to themselves. However, if we say that he is 137 years old, like Bones was, then that would make sense for Spock still looking like he does, with no wrinkles. Plus, it may be a good side effect of him having human and Vulcan DNA. So there we go.
When the New World economy took shape in the late 22nd century and money went the way of the dinosaur.
Federation has invested a great deal of money in our training. They're about due for a small return.
All right. What are you selling them for?
10 credits. Thief!
Who gets the bad news?
Don't tell me they don't use money in the 23rd century.
Well, we don't.
Maybe they're throwing us a retirement party.
That suits me. I just bought a boat.
And a shot of Jack, straight up.
Make that 2 shots on me.
Her shot's on her. Thanks, but no thanks.
We're trying.
This is a famous one. The money. Now, one of these is a joke. Kirk saying that they put a lot of money in their training. I think that one's just kind of a joke. However, they keep saying that they don't have money in the 23rd or the 24th century. This is true. They don't have Earth money anymore. There is still currency. For example, gold-pressed Latin. So what they say about money is true. They don't have any Earth currency, but they still have currency of other forms.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
Trying to break the maximum warp barrier. Nothing in the universe can go warp 10. It's a theoretical impossibility. In principle, if you were ever to reach warp 10, you'd be traveling at infinite velocity.
Captain, we're passing Warp 10.
Warp 9! Cut your circuits, all of them! Warp 10, Mr. Scott! Impossible! It can't go that fast! He just won't stop, Mr. Scott! Warp 11!
Set course for the Devron system, Warp 13.
How fast is it traveling, Mr. Spock?
At a speed that should be impossible to achieve. Something on the order of warp 36.
Nothing in the universe can go warp 10. It's a theoretical impossibility.
Now, with the exception of Dr. Crusher ordering warp 13, all these can be explained the same way. I'll start with Dr. Crusher. This was a possible future, and it's possible that they were able to go over warp 10 when they found a way to do so. And I think the way they found out to do so was just add a third nacelle. I think that's what it was. But this one doesn't count since that future never happens. As for the others, all of them were done by unnatural means. For example, the Enterprise, it was that robot Nomad, I believe. I don't remember his name. For the Enterprise D, it was the Traveler. However, they never went that fast again. Yes, it looked like they went past warp 10, but their scanners indicated they never went past warp 1.5. So when Kim said that a ship can't go warp 10, he is correct. On its own, a ship can't go past warp 10 and survive. They do find a way, however, it did not work. So yes, a ship can't go warp 10 on its own.
Can he breathe underwater?
Data doesn't breathe.
Is something wrong, Doctor? Well, you're breathing. Yes.
This one probably shouldn't even be on here, because Data himself said why he does the things he does. Even though Data is not human, he was programmed to mimic humans. So he can blink, eat, sleep, and even breathe. Now, he does not need to do any of those things, but he wants to be human, so he does them. Data does not even need a spacesuit. If the rare times that Data goes into space, this wasn't shown in any TV show, but I think it was in some of the novels that Data needed to go into like a vacuum or something. He does not need to use a spacesuit because he is an android. He does, however, because he does have biofunctions, which he does mention in one episode of Next Generation that he has biofunctions. And one of them helps him speak. So if he was in a vacuum and no spacesuit, he wouldn't be able to speak. So he wears a suit so he'll be able to communicate with his fellow officers.
It is.
You mean it's complete?
Professor, this is an incredible find.
It's yours, Jean-Luc.
Is this it?
Yes! Yes! That's it, number one. Thank you.
Okay. Why is this on here? I mean, come on. This makes no sense. Yes, the artifact is priceless and was really hard to find. But ask yourself this. Your ship has crashed, and you can only get one thing. What would you rather have? The artifact, which you can possibly find again? Or your personal photo album that has family pictures in it that cannot be replaced? If you pick the artifact, then you have no soul.
I have no soul.
Dr. Crusher has informed me that Data's emotion chip has been fused into his neural net and cannot be removed.
His emotion chip?
He didn't take it with him.
I no longer want these emotions.
Deactivating me is the only viable solution.
You should deactivate your emotion chip for now.
Good idea, sir. Done.
This one has two explanations if you read the novels based off the movies. First is when Geordi says that Data did not take the chip with him. In the novel for Nemesis, we find out that when the Borg Queen messed with Data, she damaged the emotion chip. So they had to remove it. So at the time, it was not working. And my guess is we can explain that with this next explanation here, which was as far as deactivating Data being the only possible solution in the time between Generations and First Contact. It would not be far-fetched for Geordi and Dr. Crusher to help Data work on the chip so he can turn it on and off when he wanted to, and then after the events of First Contact, they probably did find a way to get the motion chip removed, because at that point it probably would have been very dangerous for Data.
Stay right where you are.
Data seems to be present in a lot of these, doesn't he? He is not fully immune to a stun setting. There is one that does affect him. However, he stopped for two reasons. Number one, he did not want to see his friend get hurt even more. Because multiple stun settings is not good for your body. It's just not good. Also, once they realize that stun does not work, they will increase the power, which can and will damage Data's circuits. So he avoids stun beams at all costs, unless he has no choice. Or his body gets taken over and the plot demands it.
The Borg are born as a biological life form.
I don't understand. The Borg assimilate. They do not reproduce in this fashion.
Okay, this was explained in the video. It should not be here. The Borg were introduced in Season 2 of The Next Generation. Near the end of the episode, they go aboard a Borg cube to learn what they could. While aboard, they find baby Borg. Riker said that they were born as a biological life form. Then Seven says in a Voyager episode that the Borg do not conceive in this fashion. We have learned from future episodes, episodes of Voyager, that when a baby is captured by the Borg, they are put in a maturation chamber until they become an adult. Now, as far as the Borg Seven was referring to, it was a future Borg. It was being created with I think it was a human DNA and the 29th century technology, the Doctor's mobile emitter. So it had to come from somewhere. So it was future Borg. Can't really explain too much about it. So let's go.
Automated fire system. A force field contains the flame until the remaining oxygen has been consumed.
The fire suppression system, like any system on a starship, can be damaged and taken offline. And this was actually mentioned in Season 4 episode of Voyager, Year of Hell. Actually, it was part 2, where they actually said that the fire suppression system was offline, so they wanted to be able to put out a plasma fire. So if there is a fire in one part of the ship that's damaged, then it will not be put out. It's a simple explanation. Nothing else needs to be said. Let's move on.
Spock. Spock. Spock.
Okay. What the flip, people? ever hear of communicators? They have been around since day one of Star Trek. They use them in real life in outer space. I mean, really. That's it. I quit. I'm done. Like the video, subscribe. I'll see you later. I need to hit something. Or someone.
Mr. Jar Jar Binks.
That'll work. Get over here, Jar Jar. Come here. Come here, boy.
Ooh, Miss.